Hi students, welcome to lesson number 48, and today we are going to discuss about one of the founding father of sociology, that is Emile Durkheim. Today we are going to discuss about the concepts given by Emile Durkheim, that is on social facts, division of labor, suicide, religion and society. Durkheim 1858 to 1917, who devoted himself to the scientific study of sociology, is widely regarded as a pioneer in French sociology. It is known that Emile Durkheim inherited some of Auguste Comte and Herbert Spencer's ideas and developed a systematic sociology both in theory and methodology. In order to examine the contribution of Emile Durkheim to the scientific study of society critically, one should consider Durkheim's groundbreaking works, including the division of labor, the rules of sociological method and suicide, all of which reflect a popular topic about individualism and a new social regulation in modern industrial society. This lesson will first describe Durkheim's notion of social facts, which run through as a principal concept in his sociology. It will discuss its characteristics as well as importance and then introduce Durkheim's methodological approach to study social facts. It also explores Durkheim's contribution to the social sciences to the use of examples which include his study of the division of labor and suicide. Through this lesson, the students will be able to understand the contributions of Emile Durkheim in bringing scientific approach in studying the society. Now we will discuss about Emile Durkheim, an introduction to him. Emile Durkheim was born in Épinal, France on April 15, 1858 to a devout French-Jewish family. His father, grandfather and great-grandfather had all been rabbis, and it was assumed that he would follow their lead when they enrolled him in a rabbinical school. However, at an early age, he decided not to follow in his family's footsteps and switched schools after realizing that he preferred to study religion from an agnostic standpoint as opposed to being indoctrinated. In 1879, his good grades got him into the École Normale Supérieure (ENS), well-regarded graduate school in Paris. Durkheim became interested in a scientific approach to society very clearly on in his career, which meant the first of many conflicts with the French academic system, which had no social science curriculum at that time. Durkheim found humanistic studies uninteresting, turning his attention from psychology and philosophy to ethics and eventually sociology. He graduated with a degree in philosophy in 1882. Durkheim's view could not get him a major academic appointment in Paris, so from 1882 to 1887, he taught philosophy at several provincial schools. In 1885, he left for Germany, where he studied sociology for 2 years. Durkheim's period in Germany resulted in the publication of numerous articles on German social science and philosophy, which gained recognition in France and earned him a teaching appointment at the University of Bordeaux in 1887. This was an important sign of the change of times and the growing importance and recognition of the social sciences. From this position, Durkheim helped reform the French school system and introduced the study of social science in its curriculum in 1893. Durkheim published his first major work, that is, the division of labor in society, in which he introduced the concept of anomie, or the breakdown of the influence of social norms on individuals within a society. In 1895, he published The Rules of Sociological Method, his second major work, which was a manifesto stating that what sociology is and how it ought to be done. In 1897, he published his third major work, that is Suicide, a Study in Sociology, a case study exploring the differing suicide rates among Protestants and Catholics and arguing that stronger social control among Catholics results in lower suicide rates. The father of sociology, Auguste Comte, wanted to develop sociology as positive sciences so that social faith could be directly observed and proper solution could be given to related problems. Durkheim was highly influenced by his viewpoints, the corroborations of which we find in his statement considers social facts as things. Now, we will discuss about the influence of predecessors on Emile Durkheim. The father of sociology, Auguste Comte, wanted to develop sociology as positive sciences so that social faith could be directly observed and proper solutions could be given to related problems. Durkheim was highly influenced by his viewpoint, the corroboration of which we find in his statement, "Consider social facts as things." They are basically economists, and for them the social system or society is made up of human beings, and everyone has a special quality in oneself, and those qualities are useful for the system, that is, with the help of their utility, social system properly governed. In this way, the focal point of study for utilitarian positivists is an individual. Durkheim, while rejecting this aspect, accepted the positive aspect, and in this way propounded is self-structured positivism, in which he turned down their thinking that individual is important for society. According to Durkheim, the individual is nothing in himself and society is everything. Thus, society is not made up of individuals, but rather the existence of each individual is very much attached into the existence of society. Therefore, Durkheim's focal point of study is society or social fact with which the collective consciousness is attached. Now, we will discuss the nature and scope of sociology according to Durkheim. Durkheim was explicitly concerned with outlining the nature and scope of sociology. Durkheim considered social science to be distinct from natural sciences because social sciences deals with human relationships. However, the method used in natural sciences could be used in social sciences as well. He was concerned with examining the nature of sociology as a social science distinct from philosophy. Philosophy is concerned with ideas and conceptions, whereas science is concerned with objective realities. Philosophy is the source from where all the science has emerged. Durkheim advocated for positivist method to study social phenomena. Durkheim laid down the general conditions for the establishment of a social science, which also applies to sociology. He said that science deals with a specified area or a subject matter of its own, not with the total knowledge. That is, he pointed out, science is not concerned with total human knowledge or thought. Not every type of question the mind can formulate can be tested by science. It is possible for something to be the object of the philosopher or artist and not necessarily stuff of science at all. Next point, he says that science must have a definite field to explore, wherein science is concerned with things, objective realities. For science to exist, it must have a definite subject matter. Philosophers, according to Durkheim points out, have been aware of things called laws, traditions, religion, and so on. But the reality of these was in large measure dissolved by the insistence on dealing with these as a manifestation of human will. Inquiry was thus concentrated on the internal will rather than upon external bodies of data. So, it is important to look to things as they appear in this world. Science does not describe individuals, but types of classes of subject matter. If human society has to be classified, then they help us in arriving at general rules and discover regularities of behavior. Social science, which classifies the various human society, describes the normal form of social life in each type of society, for the simple reason that it describes the type itself. Whatever pertains to the type is normal, and whatever is normal is healthy. Next point is that the subject matter of a science yields general principles or laws. If societies were not subject to regularities, no social science would be possible. Durkheim further points out that since the principle that all the phenomena of the universe are closely interrelated has been found to be true in the other domains of nature, it is also valid for human societies which are a part of nature. Now, we will discuss about the social facts, which is one of the important contributions of Emile Durkheim. Social fact is that way of acting, thinking or feeling, etc., which is more or less general in a given society. Durkheim treated social facts as things. They are real and exist independent of these individual wills or desire. They are external to individuals and are capable of exerting constraints upon them. In other words, they are coercive in nature. Further, social facts exist in manifestations. The true nature of social facts lies in the collective or associational characteristics inherent in society. Legal codes and customs, moral rules, religious beliefs and practices, languages, etc. are all social facts. For Durkheim, the subject of sociology is a social fact, and that social fact must be regarded as things. In Durkheim's views, sociology as an objective science must conform to the model of the other sciences. It posed two requirements. First, the subject of sociology must be specific and it must be distinguished from the subject of other sciences. Secondly, the subject of sociology must be such as to be observed and explained, similar to the way in which facts are observed and explained in other sciences. The main characteristics of social facts are: the first one, externality; second, constraints; third, independence; and fourth, generality. Social facts, according to Durkheim, exist outside individual consciousness. Their existence is external to the individuals. For example, domestic or civic or contractual obligations are defined externally to be individuals. In laws and customs, social facts exercise a constraint on individuals. It means social fact is recognized because it forces itself on the individual. For example, the institution of law, education, belief, etc. are already given to everyone. They are commanding and obligatory for all. Next, that social fact is that which has more or less a general occurrence in a society, and also it is independent of the person. Examples are the beliefs, feelings and practices of the group taken collectively. Thus, social facts can be recognized because they are external to the individuals on the one hand and are capable of exercising coercion over them on the other. Since they are external, they are also general, and because they are collective, they can be imposed on the individual who form a given society. Economists explain the division of labor as a rational device contrived by men to increase the output of the collectivity. Durkheim rejects this explanation as a reversal of the true order. To say that men divided the work among themselves and assigned everyone a different job is to assume that individuals were different from one another and aware of their difference before social differentiation. Moreover, since division of labor is a social phenomena, the principle of the homogeneity of cause and effect demands an essentially social explanation. Durkheim insists that division of labor, a social phenomena, can only be explained in terms of three factors, that is, the volume, the material density and moral density. Volume here refers to the size of the population, and material density refers to the number of individuals on a given ground surface. Moral density means the intensity of communication between individuals. With the formation of cities and the development of communication and transportation, condensation of society multiplies intersocial relations. Thus, the growth and condensation of societies and the resultant intensity of social intercourse necessitate a greater division of labor. As societies become more voluminous and denser, more people come in contact with one another. They compete for scarce resources and there is rivalry everywhere. As the struggle for survival becomes acute, social differentiation develops as a peaceful solution to the problem. When individual learns to pursue different occupations, the chances of conflict diminish. Each man is no longer in competition with all. Each man is in competition with only a few of his fellows who pursue the same object or vocation. That is, the soldier seeks military glory, the priest moral authority, the statesman power, the businessman riches, and the scholar scientific renown. The carpenter does not struggle with the mason, nor the physician with the teacher, nor the politician with the engineer. Since they pursue different objects or perform different services, they can exist without being obliged mutually to destroy one another. The division of labor is thus the result of struggle for existence. Durkheim identified two forms of solidarity, that is mechanical solidarity and economic solidarity, in two types of societies: societies with simple division of labor and societies with complex division of labor. Now, we discuss about mechanical solidarity. Mechanical solidarity is a solidarity of resemblance. People are homogeneous mentally and morally. They feel the same emotions, cherish the same values, and hold the same things sacred. Communities are therefore uniform and non-atomized. Durkheim suggested that mechanical solidarity prevailed to the extent that ideas and tendencies common to all members of the society are greater in number and intensity than those which pertain to each member. He explained that this solidarity grows only in inverse ratio to personality. The laws in mechanical solidarity are repressive and penal in character. They aim at inflicting suffering or loss on the criminal and try to suppress recurrence of crime. According to Durkheim, an act is treated as criminal when it offends strong and defined states of the conscious collectively. Thus, crime is viewed as an affront to the conscious collective which feels hurt by the criminal act and therefore tries to resist it. Hence, one of the important functions of punishment is actions and reactions taking place at the collective level. In the words of Durkheim, we must not say that an action shocks the common conscience because it is criminal, but rather that it is criminal because it shocks the common conscience. We do not reprove it because it is a crime, but it is a crime because we reprove it. Now, let us talk about organic solidarity. With the increase of the volume of population, material density and moral density also increases. According to Durkheim, division of labor is a peaceful solution to the needs created by the increase of population in size and density. This increase in division of labor gives rise to organic solidarity. Organic solidarity is characterized by decline of conscious collectivity. The role of conscious collective becomes progressively smaller as division of labor becomes specialized. Individuals become increasingly freer while becoming more aware of their interdependence. It is this heightened sense of interdependence that contributes to solidarity. Relations between individuals and groups become contractual, whereas mechanical solidarity arose from similarities of individual in primitive society, and organic solidarity on the other hand develops out of differences rather than likeness between individuals in modern societies. Individuals are no longer similar but different. Their mentality and moral similarities have disappeared. A society have organic solidarity is characterized by specialization, complex division of labor, and individualism. It is held together by the interdependence of parts rather than by the homogeneity of elements. It is also characterized by the weakening of collective conscience and restitute laws. With the emergence of division of labor in society owing to be a complex of facts such as increased population, urbanization, industrialization, and with its concomitant rise in dissimilarities of individuals in society, there was an inevitable increase in interdependence among society's members, and as noted earlier, when there is an increase in mental and moral aptitude and capabilities, there is decreased corollary in the collective conscience. The law that exists in organic solidarity is no longer a law of punishment, rather it is a law of restitution. Unlike the repressive laws which seeks to inflict suffering on the criminal, restitute laws simply tries to restore the status quo. Further, while repressive laws remains diffuse throughout the community, restitute laws has special organs, institution, tribunals, councils, functionaries, and so on. These two forms of solidarity correspond to two extreme forms of social organizations. That is, the archaic societies that are primitive societies are characterized by the predominance of mechanical solidarity, whereas modern industrial societies characterized by complex division of labor are dominated by organic solidarity. It must, however, be noted that Durkheim's conception the division of labor is different from the envisaged by economists. To Durkheim, social differentiation begins with the disintegration of mechanical solidarity and of segmental structure. Occupational specialization and multiplication of industrial activities are only an expression of a more general form of social differentiation which corresponds to the structure of society as a whole. Further, comparing the organic solidarity with mechanical solidarity, Durkheim suggests that social cohesion is greater in the case of organic solidarity. As labor is divided, so also does each member of the society depends more and more on this labor. The labor of one fit into the labor of the other and produces cohesive community. Thus, as the community becomes more cohesive and better integrated, individuals become freer and more able to exercise his initiative, being less tightly bound by the common sentiments. The division of labor thus contributes both to the cohesion of the society and to the self-expression and freedom of the individual. Now, we will talk about the important contribution of Emile Durkheim, that is suicide. Durkheim's book 𝗧𝗧 was published in 1897. His book is an analysis of a phenomena regarded as pathological, intended to throw light on the evil which threatens modern industrial society, that is anomie. Suicide is an indication of disorganization of both individual and society. Increasing number of suicide clearly indicates something wrong everywhere, somewhere in the social system of the concerned society. According to Durkheim, suicide refers to every case of death resulting directly or indirectly from a positive or negative death performed by the victim himself and which strives to produce this result. Durkheim was interested in explaining difference in suicide rates that he has experienced. He was interested in why one group had a higher rate of suicide than other. Durkheim tended to assume that social, psychological, biological factors remains essentially constant from one group to another from one period to another. He began suicide with a series of alternative ideas about the causes of suicide. Suicide is a major theory of social constraint relating to collective conscience. It is cited as a monumental landmark in which conceptual theory and empirical research are brought together. Durkheim's use of statistical analysis was for two primary reasons. First, to refute theories based on psychology, biology, genetics, climatic and geographical factors, and another to support with empirical evidences his own sociological explanation of suicide. Durkheim rejected the various extra-social factors such as heredity, climate, mental alienation, racial characteristics and imitation as a cause of suicide. Having defined the phenomena, Durkheim dismisses the psychological explanation. Many doctors and psychologists develop the theory that majority of the people who take their own life are in a pathological state, but Durkheim emphasizes that the force which determines the suicide is not psychological but social. He concludes that suicide is a result of social disorganization or lack of social integration or social solidarity. Now, we will discuss the different types of suicides given by Durkheim. The first one is the egoistic suicide. Egoistic suicide is a product of relative weak group integration. It takes place as a result of extreme loneliness and also out of excessive individualism. When men become detached from society and when the bonds that previously had tied them to their fellow beings become loose, they are more prone to egoistic suicide. Durkheim's belief that lack of integration of the individual into the social group is a main cause for egoistic suicide. Egoistic suicide are committed by those individuals who have the tendency to shut themselves up within themselves. Such individuals feel affronted, hurt and ignored. Introverting traits gain upper hand in them. The persons stay aloof and cut off from the mainstream of society and don't take full interest in social matters, get alienated and find it difficult to cope with social alienation and feel impelled to commit suicide. The another type of suicide is anomic suicide. This type of suicide is due to certain breakdown of social equilibrium. At the time when social relations get disturbed, both social ethics become the causalities, values of life come down and outlook of some person changes radically. there is then certain dangerous development in society. If the change is sudden, adjustment becomes difficult, and those who don't get adjusted to changes commit suicide. According to Durkheim, not only economic disaster and industrial crisis, but even sudden economic prosperity can cause disruption and deregulation and finally leads to suicide. The another type of suicide is altruistic suicide. This kind of suicide takes place in the form of sacrifice in which an individual ends his life by heroic means. It results from the over-integration of the individual into his group. In simple words, altruistic is taking off one's own life for the sake of a cause. It means that even high level of social solidarity induces suicide. Example, the practice of sati or a soldier who volunteered for a dangerous mission. The other suicide type is the fatalistic suicide. This type of suicide is due to over-regulation in society. Under the over-regulation of a society, when a servant or a slave commits suicide or when a barren woman commits suicide, it is the example of fatalistic suicide. Now, we will discuss the last component of Durkheim, that is religion and society. Durkheim's last major book, The Elementary Forms of Religious Life, which was published in the year 1912, is often regarded as the most profound and the most original of his works. Durkheim began with a contradiction of the reigning theories of the origin of religion, which was given by Taylor, the distinguished English ethnologist who supported the notion of animism, that is, spirit worship, as the most basic form of religious exploration. The Max Müller, the noted German linguist, put forth the concept of naturism, that is, the worship of nature's forces. Durkheim rejected both concepts because he felt that they failed to explain the universal key distinction between the sacred and the profane, and because they tended to explain religion away by interpreting it as an illusion, that is, reduction is fallacy. To Durkheim, it is inadmissible that system of ideas like religion, which have had such considerable place in history, to which people have turned into all ages for the energy they needed to live and for which they were willing to sacrifice their lives, should be viewed as so profound and so permanent as a correspond to a true reality. And this true reality is not a transcendent God, but society. Now, the essence of religion, according to Durkheim. According to Durkheim, the essence of religion is a division of the world into two kinds of phenomena, that is, the sacred and the profane. The sacred refers to things that human beings have set apart, including religious beliefs, rites, deities, or anything socially defined as requiring special religious treatment. Participation in the sacred order, such as in rituals of ceremonies, gives a special prestige, illustrating one of the social functions of religion. The profane is the reverse of the sacred. The circle of sacred objects cannot be determined once for all. Its existence varies infinitely according to different religions. Accordingly, Durkheim defines religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices which unite in one simple moral community called a church, all those who adhere to it. Beliefs and practices unite people in social community by relating them to sacred things. This collective sharing of beliefs, rituals, etc. is essential for the development of religion. Now, the origin of religion. Durkheim took totemism among the Australian tribes as a key concept to explain the origins of religion. Ordinary objects, whether pieces of wood, polished stones, plants or animals, are transfigured into sacred objects once they bear the emblem of the totem. Durkheim writes, totem refers to an implicit belief in a mysterious or sacred force or principle that provides sanction for violations of taboos, inculcates moral responsibilities in the group, and animates the totem itself. The emphasis here, in keeping with his overall emphasis upon social analysis of social phenomena, was upon the collective activities as the birthplace of religious sentiments and ideas. According to Durkheim, the essence to totemism is a worship of an impersonal, anonymous force at once immanent and transcendent. This anonymous diffuse force, which is superior to men and very close to them, is in reality society itself. Moreover, Durkheim claims that just as societies in the past have created gods and religion, societies of the future are inclined to create new gods and new religions when they are in a state of exaltation. When societies are seized by the sacred frenzy and when men participating in ritualistic ceremonies, religious services, feasts and festivals go into a trance. People are united by dancing and shouting and experiencing a kind of hallucination. Men are compelled to participate by force of the group, which carries them outside of themselves and gives them a sensation of something that has no relation to everyday experience. During such moments of sacred frenzy and collective trance, new gods and new religions will be born. Durkheim believed he had solved the religious morals dilemma of modern society. Religion is nothing but the indirect worship of society. The source and object of religion are the collective life. The individual who feels dependent on some external moral power is not a victim of hallucination but a responsive member of society. The substantial function of religion is the creation, reinforcement and maintenance of social solidarity. Religion acts as an agency of social control and provides solidarity. He argued that religious phenomena emerges in any society when a separation is made between the sphere of the profane and the realm of everyday utilitarian activities, and the sphere of sacred, the area that pertains to the transcendental, the extraordinary. Religion, as Durkheim saw and explained, it is not only a social creation but is in fact society divinized. Durkheim stated that the deities which man worship together are only projections of the power of society. If religion is essentially a transcendent representation of the powers of society, then the disappearance of traditional religion need not herald the dissolution of society. Furthermore, Durkheim reasoned that all that is required for modern man now was realized directly dependent society which before they have recognized only through the medium of religious representation. With his study of religion, Durkheim successfully demonstrated the application of functionalist methodology in sociology. This lesson explored Durkheim's main works in sociology. As one of the founders of professional sociology, Durkheim identified social facts, thus built the dimension as well as the skeleton of sociology. Based on previous work, he formulates a systematic methodology to discover the social laws by observing and comparing the relationship between different variables. Durkheim further applied his methodology and theory into his work of division of labor and suicide. He discovered the procedure by which individuals socially integrate into society and provide different types to explain the relationship between people and society. Although there are certain indistinct interpretations in terms of concepts and correlations, Durkheim's work is considered to have significance to the scientific study of society.